G'day YouTube, I'm David, I'm from Bonsai Works. Welcome back to my channel. Today I've got another shimpaku juniper. Surprise if you've been following my channel for a while. You know my love of shimpakus. Today I've got a much more interesting shimpaku to deal with. It's an older tree, but it's really doesn't have any low branches. It's got two little high branches. It's got a really awesome movement in the bottom half of the tree. It's a really nice movement at the base. The foliage is made up of two branches. They can see they're actually a bit unusual, a bit all over the place. So really this tree can really only form one kind of design, and that's literati, and that's the plan I'm trying to achieve today. First things first was try to identify the front of the tree. What are the best features, and so what will be our front? Personally, I'm looking at this tree, even though the foliage, if I turn the tree on its side like this, all that foliage is going that way, and nothing's on this side. This base here has some shari here, has a jin here, has a side jin here, and it really is the fattest part. So it looks nice. This part is the nicest part of this tree. Then it's got a big kink in here, which is nice, but then there's this ugly part here that's straight. So we need to deal with that. Somehow, some way we can deal with it. Then up here, it's all quite flexible. That's quite flexible. This one isn't as flexible because this part here is quite hard, but this whole branch is flexible. So really, there's no alternative but this side as the front. But what angle? Now we change the angles we're going to go work with. Because you can have it like that and leave it straight in the trunk, right? You can just leave it straight, you can see the base, nice. Or you can start to tilt it on different angles. Now I was looking at this tree, and in a way I want to enhance this movement. Now to enhance this movement, you want to, I guess you want to enhancing it by making it more dramatic, okay? So not less dramatic, you want to make it more dramatic. So for me, the way to make it more dramatic is to let me see, tilt it more that way, but also a bit more forward. So it makes it more dramatic, so you've got a more enhanced movement to that way. Because what that means then is I can work with this branch and try to bend it backwards and around and try to create some sort of nice literati by decreasing. So by enhancing that movement, it makes the tree more dramatic and gives us more flexibility in getting the tree into a literati form. So now I can really work on pretty much this part of the tree, okay, this part. So now we can tweak and bend and twist and so on, and how we ever want to do to try and improve this tree. One of the main things I want to try and do is this distance between that and that I want to decrease. So I will need to try and bring closer, which I should be able to do with guy wires to that branch, things like that. But then I also need to wire all these branches. If I pick this as the front, this branch is kind of in no man's land. It's just not doing anything, and I'm going to find it very hard to bend that. So I'm not sure this will survive, but we'll see where we end up being with the whole bending of this trunk. Now to start with this bend, I need to apply very heavy 6mm aluminium wire. I'm going to apply and see if we can actually bend this at all. If not, I'll be using guy wires to guy wire onto here, but we need to get some interest in this part of the tree. Okay, so I'm going to go and put some heavy gauge wire on now. Alright, applied a very heavy gauge 6mm. Not fussed about this section here, that's just holding the tree in place. When you're going to put a big bend, another little trick is to make sure that this wire is on this outside of the bend, okay? It supports this area from breaking. Nice little tip there. And then I've got very close coils for this part of the tree. I'm pretty confident I need a guy wire to get this down, because if I try and attempt to do this now, it's not really holding in place. Even if I try and bend it a bit, it's still springing back into life. So it's not really going to hold this section, this section in particular. So I'm going to apply a guy wire to try and bring that down. The guy wire is very simple. I use copper. So I'm just going to get a piece of copper here. Probably take it from here to about somewhere around here. So I would loop it around, just thinking about that much. Copper is obviously much more stronger than aluminium, and that's why I use it. because we're going to be twisting the end of it, so we really need to be careful of it. Now what I do is I try and thread it in between the heavy gauge aluminium and between the heavy gauge aluminium wire and the trunk. I don't go around the trunk if I don't have to. I just want to go around the aluminium wire because I'm pulling the wire down rather than pulling the trunk. Right, so I've got something like this. So I'll bring it back to you. So just I've gone around a bit of wire there. Now I can either go to the gin, which is probably the easier option. Giving it a little twist. Just to keep it settled. Now, it's a matter of, it'd be great if you had a helper for this, but if you don't, then you've got to kind of do it yourself. Pull down and twist. So you're slowly decreasing the distance, very slowly, but we'll get there. I'm going to keep doing that, but that's what you really want to try and do, guy wiring things down. So I want to try and get that as close as I can to where I want it. Also, if you've noticed that I'm trying to go backwards as well to get rid of this straightness. So when I go backwards, it flattens the straightness a bit, flattens it out so it doesn't look as straight. So it's going a bit sideways. Alright, so I've got it to a point where I'm reasonably happy with. I had to adjust the guy wire to be a bit higher to bring it down a bit more. I'll keep adjusting this slowly a little bit more each day, almost. I can do a little bit more right now, but it's a matter of tweaking a little bit here and there all the time and getting it further the more we go. Now you probably just can see start to split the bark, so you want to be just a bit cautious now. But the tree's almost now right down here. Remember it was up here? I haven't even bent this section. It's just purely bending this part has made this go almost all the way down. Now I want to try and bend this. I don't know, I'm thinking, trying to create something. I don't want to have, I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to bend it. I want to bend it and see if I can create something interesting now with it. I want to try and use this branch, okay? So I haven't wired these guys out yet, but I want to see if I can get some interest in this branch. So I might want to try and come back upwards. So we'll see if it lets me. Lots of little creaks, but no splitting, which is good. All right, starting to come back. See, it's starting to come back upwards more. I will need to keep going, but I'm just being very careful. So now I'm at the point where it's starting to go more upwards. You can see how much further we've come along. The tree's much more interesting, but I want to go upright a bit more, I think. Because I really want to show this little bit off. I want to show this bit off. If I keep it there, I'm kind of going to hide it. So coming along really well. Oh no, it's too tall for the camera now. I'll try and move backwards. But it's actually looking alright. But you'll notice this one, look where it is, kind of, I don't know, in the back, out of the way. I'm going to leave it for now. I'm going to go off and wire all this now. And start to look at positioning things and how it could look in the future. But yeah, I'll try and get it. That's probably the angle I want the tree to be at. Lots of beautiful moves there, awesome movement in and around. I want to make a nice little, probably little tree in here with it. Yeah, and the more I look, this is really hard to use anywhere, even as a back branch. Probably can't, but a bit more wiring here, a bit more bending and tweaking, and we'll come back and see. I won't position the branches. I'll just put wire on everything so that you guys can see how I position it to make a literati. Okay. I've actually wired the whole remaining 3 branches and all the sub branches. You can see the kind of look it's got at the moment. I've still got the nice slant that way that I want it to go. I've tried to bring it back as well, a bit this way. Probably a little bit falling over that way a little bit, but we'll work that out with the branch placements. Now I've covered the back branch, this branch over here, that with the T-tail, so you wouldn't have to look at it. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna use it in the design. So the first thing I do, I really make sure I've got the right angle I want the tree potted at. If you can see from side on, the top is kind of going to sit on top of the trunk, which makes it really in the middle. So really having these things to these blocks of wood to balance, to adjust where the front is very important. So make sure you always look at the tree at the front. Now I've got this really long first branch. So I'll put it, if you can see, quite long. I want to make a really compact tree with this tree with nice movement. I'm not 100% sure exactly what I want to do just yet. I know that the tree has been buffeted by the nature this way, so it's been pushed this way. So this side should have less foliage and more foliage on the other side. Okay, that's how I think of it. So let's have a look. I want to try and shorten this branch. It's just too long, so I'm going to go backwards. So backwards is gone quite well. And now I'm just going to come forwards from about a few centimetres from the trunk. So I'm creating a lot of nice movement. So you can probably just, hopefully you can see the, probably hard to see, but movement. Also I'm trying to go downwards as well. So back and down. Now back around. Now I'm only worried about the main trunk. I'm not worried about all the side branching. We'll get to those eventually. Just creating lots of movement. And by creating movement, we're shortening the branch. I think it's going to storm here any minute. So I'll see how far I can get before I have to go inside. So I've adjusted quite a bit, and it's actually shortened quite a lot, which is good news. So this is now where it's at. Have a look. Difference. See how much closer it's come into the trunk? Looks a lot better. Now I wire all the branching. I like to always start with the back branch. I don't know why. I just like to set that first. Gives me the depth to work on. I think I've wired most of them, even the twigs, but I'm not sure if they're gonna be any good. But we'll see. So create a nice little pad, just like you normally see me do from my other videos. Well, that branch broke, so get rid of it. Which isn't a problem because we got space for this branch which we needed to make. Always put movement every branch, okay? Because this is such a twisty trunk, you need to make sure all your branches are also twisty. Alright, so here's kind of what it's looking like. I'll try and get the black background on it so you can see how nice it's shaped. It's like a nice little triangle arrowy thing. I will pluck a little bit of stuff going down. But it's pretty nice. I really like that branch. It's come up really good. We'll have a closer look later when I've got a better picture of it. This is kind of annoying because it's blocking you. I might actually just use a cutting. I might take it off later and just use it as a cutting so you can have a better look at the picture, better look at the tree. So that branch is done. Now this is the back branch. I'm going to keep this as the apex or the top of the tree. I'm going to give the tree a bit of depth. So I'm going to see if I can bend this around. So I want it to sit in kind of into this. There's a bit of an area here I want it to sit in, I think. That's the best spot for it. So I will try and bend this around. You can kind of see now, if I put it front back on, it's kind of sitting in this in this back little bit here. That's a little bit of a round bit. I'll bring it this side so you can see better. There's a bit of a in there in this gap. It's sitting nicely in there. So now I'll keep working on it until I'm really happy with it, and I'll spread it out. So, getting crazy windy. So I've put in the brake branch in there. Nothing too special, just to give a bit of depth in the tree. This is probably the most important part that we need to work on now. And I will try and show you how I compact this huge branch down. So it's the same process. Always go backwards and try and come forwards with it. So I'm going to try and go backwards in there to shorten it a lot. Now with this long bit, you'll probably see this long bit, I'm going to drop it and make it like a side branch at the top. So in a way I've got these small ones up here, probably going to make my apex, and then this will be a drop branch, and try and create a nice side branch higher up the tree. I'm just trying to get it small and contorted so it's not as big as it is before. This side branch now creates all the branching in the middle, in the front. Okay. Alright, so it's coming together quite nicely. Just the apex now. And this is pretty easy. There's only 3 small branches, we can't much with it. We've got to let it really fill out. So one I'll probably just bend it around and put it in towards the back bit, one into the side here. And this one I try and put a bit of movement in and shrink it down to create something a bit shorter. Alright, so here's kind of what it looks like. Probably very hard to see with all the wind and the tea towel, and I will remove the tea towel just so we can actually have a better look at the tree. I mean, I'll remove this branch to probably have a better look at this tree. I'll just use it as I'll just use a cutting out of it. Alright, so here's kind of where it's ended up. Not too bad for a first styling. See, everything's nice and compacted. That's probably the most important thing. I've taken off that branch. I'll just gin that little bit of deadwood there. But it's actually looking quite nice. I might have bent it over too much. Maybe it's come back, so it should come back a little bit like that. I think just slightly, so I'll make that adjustment. It's only very slight now, so it's easy to make those adjustments. I can almost bend it down and it'll be alright. So really, really nice. I think it's come along really well. It's a little bit straight in this section. But I think maybe we can hide it in the future, maybe a little bit with this foliage, but I don't know. I think it's okay at the moment. A very cool, different tree from what it was before. Really compacted. Make sure you compact all the foliage. Use minimal branches. The main ones keep, and just wire them out. And it's now it's a matter of time. This should fill out nicely in the next year, and I'll have a totally different tree, especially in the apex. There's not much in there, but they'll all fill out nicely. Get lots of energy from the sun, and should be okay. So there you go. Starting of a literati style. Really nice twisted trunk. Really nice movement, and should be good. Alright guys, thanks for watching and putting up with this crazy weather in Melbourne, and I'll see you soon.